So today we will see the solved question paper of October 2018 of 2016 scheme. So the first question is list the bacteria causing urinary tract infection. Explain in detail sample collection in a 1-year-old baby or adult male, female and a catheterized patient. And describe transport, processing and culture of a urine sample. E. coli, Klebsiella, Proteus malius, Enterococcus fecalis and Staphylococcus are the common bacteria which cause the urinary tract infection. So we will see how a sample collection in a 1-year-old baby. Thoroughly wash the area around the urethra and use a special bag to collect urine. It will be a plastic bag with a sticky strip on one end made fit over the baby's genital area. Open this bag and place it on the infant. For male, place the entire penis in the bag and attach the adhesive to the skin. For female baby, place the bag over the two folds of the skin either side of the labia. Then put diaper around the baby over the bag and when the baby passes urine, empty this urine from the bag into a container provided. Do not touch inside of the cup or the lid. In adult male, clean the head of the penis with a sterile wipe. Urinate a small amount of the toilet bowl, then stop flow of the urine. Then collect a sample of urine into a clean sterile cup until it is half full. An adult female, wash the area between the labia. Keep the labia spread open. Urinate a small amount into the toilet bowl, then stop the flow of urine. Hold the urine cup for few inches or few centimeters from the urethra and urinate until the cup is about half full. In a catheterized patient, if the specimen taken from a sampling pot, check whether the catheter tubing, if the tubing is empty, apply a clamp approximately 5 inches below the length of the sampling pot. This allows the urine to be collected above the clamp so that the sample can be obtained. Clean the sample pot with the alcohol swab and allow to dry it. Stabilize the tubing by holding it below the level of sampling pot. Insert a syringe tip to the sampling pot. Be careful to protect the sterile syringe tip with the disinfectant sampling pot from the contamination. Aspirate around 10 ml of urine and disconnect the syringe. Put the urine to the sterile specimen container. Avoid contact between the syringe and the cup. Ensure top of the specimen container is secured to prevent leakage and contamination of the specimen. Describe transport and processing and culture of a urine sample. Urine culture and sensitivity must be collected in a sterile container. A midstream clean catch urine specimen usually is free of contamination from external genital area. Specimens of culture and sensitivity and other microbiological studies should be transported at the room temperature and processed within 2 hours of collection. Alternatively, specimens may be refrigerated and then processed within 24 hours. Also, urine may be transported in the room temperature in a tube with preservative and proceed within 24 hours. Urine culture transport tubes may be used if there is a delay in processing. The most common preservative used for culture sensitivity is boric acid, which come in the form of a tablet, powder or lyophilized form. Short essays. Laboratory diagnosis of cholera and measures to be taken to prevent the spread of infection in a cholera outbreak. For lab diagnosis, you can refer the question paper of April 2019 of 2010 scheme. And the preventive measures are make sure to drink and use safe water to brush your teeth, wash and prepare food and making ice. It is safe to drink and use bottled water with unbroken seals and canned or bottled carbonated beverages. If the bottled water is not available, use water that has been properly boiled, chlorinated or filtered. Boiling is the most effective way to make water safe. Boiling brings the water to a complete boil at least 1 minute. Clean food preparations areas and kitchenware with soap and safe water and let them dry completely before reuse. Pipe water source, drinks sold in cups or bags and ice may not be safe. Wash the hands often with soap and safe water before, during and after preparing food for yourself or your family. After using the latrine or toilet, after cleaning your child's bottom and before and after caring for someone with cholera. Then use latrines or other sanitation system like chemical toilet. Cook food well, especially seafood. Keep it covered and eat it hot. Peel fruits and vegetables. Clean up safely in the kitchen and places where the family bathes and washes the clothes. Bathing and washing clothes stay 30 meters, that means at least 100 feet away from drinking water sources. Next question, describe the infections caused by Staphylococcus aureus and enumerate MRSA and add and note on measurements to prevent spread of MRSA infections in the hospital. It is the leading cause of skin and soft tissue infections as abscess, fungal cellulitis. Although the most infections are not serious, Staphylococcus aureus can cause serious infections as bloodstream infections, pneumonia, bone and joint infections. MRSA is methicillin-resistant Staphylococcus aureus. When it is clear that patients are infected with MRSA, the patients infected or colonized by other multi-resistant bacteria share common risk factors, personal circumstances, length of hospital stay, and use of antimicrobial agents. The major risk factor for MRSA infection is transmission of MRSA between the patients. Hand hygiene is one of the most basic measure in infection control and should be performed before and after patient examination, before entering into a patient's room and before and after wearing gloves. It should be noted that use of gloves is not a substitute for hand washing. Contact precautions should be implemented with all patients with colonization or MRSA infection is suspected or confirmed. It involves the use of long-sleeved isolation apron or bib as well as gloves, which should be worn before entry to the unit and removed before exit. Patients colonized or infected with MRSA should ideally stay in isolated units. If this is not possible, isolation in cohorts may be considered. Multidisciplinary group of professionals is required to establish and develop active surveillance program. If used, screening and eradication of MRSA colonization in healthcare workers should always be part of a comprehensive infection control policy, which should include staff education, emphasis high compliance and with hand hygiene and contact precautions. Environmental cleaning is essential to reduce environmental reservoirs known as hospital-associated pathogens. Control of hospital overcrowding and understaffing by maintenance of appropriate patient-staff ratio. The effective control of MRSA is based on a group of measures ranging from firm adherence to basic infection control principles, hand hygiene, to early identification and isolation of patients colonized or infected by MRSA, as well as decolonization in specific situations. Laboratory diagnosis of hepatitis B, which already have been discussed in April 2019 question paper. Candidiasis, which also has been discussed earlier. The DPT vaccine. DPT vaccine is a class of vaccines which infects diseases in humans like diphtheria, pertussis, or whooping cough and tetanus. The vaccine components include diphtheria and tetanus toxoid and either killed wall cells of bacterium that cause pertussis or pertussis antigens. Diphtheria toxoid. Diphtheria toxoid is prepared by formalin inactivation of diphtheria toxin. Usually it is available as a preparation of absorbed with aluminum hydroxide or phosphate and combined with other toxoids or vaccine antigens. The potency of diphtheria vaccine used for immunization of the children should not be less than 30 international units per single human dose, while for adult potency is about the third of the dose of the children. Tetanus toxoid. Tetanus toxoid is a preparation of formalin inactivated toxin. The toxoid is available adsorbed with aluminum phosphate hydroxide alone or combination with other toxoids or vaccine. Potency of tetanus toxoid expressed in international units varies widely according to the preparations and manufacturers. But WHO stipulates the potency of tetanus vaccine and use for immunization of children should not be less than 40 international units per single human dose. Pertussis antigens. Pertussis vaccines either contains antigens from the whole pertussis organism or variable number of purified cellular component antigens. The whole cell vaccines contain suspension of killed B pertussis organism at concentration of more than 4 international units. The cellular vaccines are made from purified antigens of Bordetella pertussis. Laboratory diagnosis and prevention of swine flu infection. To test swine flu, a nose or throat swab is taken. Within 15 minutes, the laboratory may tell if the influenza type A or B is present. The specimen of infected material from the patient's throat or nose is collected within 4 to 5 days of illness. This is the most infectious period of the disease. An infected person is most likely to be shedding the virus. Children, however, may shed the virus for 10 days or longer. Further details and exact strain may be taken few days to detect and report. Most sophisticated method includes immunofluorescence staining and antigen subtyping based on immunoagglutination inhibitions. Another standard method is RT-PCR targeting hemagglutinin and neuraminidase genes. We can help prevent the spread of germs that cause respiratory illness like influenza by covering the nose and mouth with tissue during cough or sneeze. Throw the tissue in a trash after use it. Wash hands often with soap and water, especially after coughing and sneezing, and use alcohol-based hand cleaners. Avoid touching the eyes, nose or mouth. Germs spread also this way. Trying to avoid close contact with sick persons. Staying home from work or school if the person is sick. Hookworm infections. Hookworm infection is an infection of the intestine that can cause skin rash, respiratory and GI problems, eventually iron deficiency, anemia due to ongoing loss of blood. People can be infected with walking barefoot because the hookworm larvae live in the soil and can penetrate the skin. Hookworm live in the small intestine. Hookworm eggs are passed in feces of infected person. If the infected person defecate outside, the feces of an infected person are used as a fertilizer. The eggs are deposited in the soil. They can be mature and hatch, releasing larvae, that means immature worms. The larvae mature into form that can penetrate the skin of humans. Hookworm infection is mainly acquired by walking barefoot in contaminated soil. One kind of hookworm can cause or transmitted through the ingestion of the larva. Most people infected with hookworm have no symptoms. Some will have GI symptoms, especially persons who are infected for the first time. Most serious effects of hookworm infection are blood loss leading to anemia in addition to protein loss. Hookworm infections are treatable with medications prescribed by the healthcare provider. Treatment of hookworm aims to get rid of the parasite, improve nutrition, and treat complications from anemia. Doctor will prescribe medication that destroy parasites such as albendazole and mebendazole. These medications are generally taken once to treat the infections. Answer briefly. First is VDRL and RPR, Rapid Plasma Antigen Test. Both RPR and VDRL tests use blood as the specimen to detect syphilis. However, the different stage of syphilis involves central nervous system or what is termed as neurosyphilis. A VDRL is only a test that can be performed using CSF or cerebrospinal fluid. During the testing of syphilis, the specimen that will be used for VDRL requires to be heated before it can be tested. VDRL also requires the specimen must be freshly collected. However, an RPR test, the specimen does not need to be heated or unheated before it can be tested for syphilis. According to research, an RPR test is more effective non-triphenomal test than VDRL. It can detect syphilis more effectively than a VDRL. VDRL and RPR tests are used quantitative evaluations. They can measure the antibodies produced as a reaction from the body of Treponema pallidum. However, RPR test measures non-specific antibodies produced in response to Treponema pallidum. In the late stages of the disease, these two tests found to be less effective in detecting syphilis yield non-reactive results. Prevention of surgical site infections. Surgical site infection is an infection that occurs after surgery in the part of body where the surgery took place. Surgical site infection can sometimes be superficial involving the skin only. Other surgical site infections are more serious and can involve tissue under the skin, organs or implanted material. When infections occur, surgical site infection may range from spontaneously limited wound discharge from 7 to 10 days of an operation room to a life-threatening post-operative complications as external infections after open heart surgery. The surgical site and the surrounding area should be clean. The skin around the surgical site should be free of soil and debris. Removal of superficial soil, debris and transgenic microbes before applying antiseptic agent reduces the risk of wound contamination by decreasing the organic debris on the skin. Diphtheria. Diphtheria infection caused by Corynebacterium diphtheria. Signs and symptoms may vary from mild to severe. They usually start 2 to 5 days after the exposure. Symptoms often come on fairly gradually, beginning with a sore throat and fever. In severe cases, grey or white patches develop in the throat. This can block the airway and create barking cough as in croup. and neck may swell as a part of due to enlarged lymph nodes. A form of diphtheria which involved skin, eyes, and genitals also exists. Complications may include myocarditis, inflammation of nerves, kidney problems, bleeding problems due to low level of platelets. Myocarditis results in abnormal heart rate and inflammation of the nerves that may result in paralysis. Diphtheria is usually spread between people by direct contact or through the air. It may be also spread by contaminated objects. Some people carry bacteria without having symptoms, but they still spread the disease to others. Differentiate between type 1 and type 2. This you can refer October 2019 question paper. Then Plasmodium vivax and Plasmodium falciparum in Philippines meow. Plasmodium vivax, the type of RBC involved primarily inverse reticulocyte illness, but the Plasmodium falciparum involve all red cells regardless of the age. Parasitic red cells enlarged and pale, fine stripling, but they are not enlarged cross-sleeping. Then decolors and pale, normal bluish tinge times, and pigment develop fine, light brown scattered, but in Plasmodium falciparum they are coarse, black and fruit clumps. Neural and non-neural vaccines in rabies prophylaxis. Neural vaccines. These are the suspensions of nervous tissues of the animals infected with the rabies virus. Earliest was Pasteur's cord vaccine prepared drying over the caustic various period. Pieces of infected rabbit spinal cord. This was replaced by infected brain vaccines, of which there have been several preparations like suckling mouth brain vaccine, Semble vaccine. In developed countries, neural vaccines has been abandoned. Non-neural vaccines are vaccines of duck embryo vaccine. The rabies virus is grown in embryonic duck eggs and inactivated beta propyloton. Live attenuated chick embryo vaccines. These vaccines are used for vaccination of animals, and cell culture vaccine is a more potent and safer conventional brain tissue vaccine. Further immunization requires fewer injections of smaller volume with relatively few side effects. Thank you.